Greetings and welcome, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, to episode 354 of the Words About Games podcast, the weekly gaming podcast for Words About Games. I'm your host, Amy K. Alexander, and with a shitload to talk about this week, it's Jeff Moody.
Howdly doodly do. It's Friday. You know what that means.
I'm gonna lie,
it's video game time. It's literal video game day.
Like,
video game we're day. Talking about video games today, this episode. It's video games. So if any of you have been bitching that we aren't talking about video games as much, you're gonna get your fill of video game-ness today.
I'm telling you, man.
This episode.
Like last week podcast, we do a podcast. There's a PlayStation showcase, but not much happens to the point where it's like, here's a story about a Joe Biden dating simulator, and here's a story about someone getting arrested for posting spoilers on YouTube, this dickhead. Oh, I'll save my reviews for next week. Fast forward. This morning? Was it this morning?
Yeah.
I'm sitting here in front of a laptop. I'm like, I'm doing the show notes. We've got like Bobby Kotick and Redfall and this and that. We've got loads to talk about. Text message. I've got 3 games to review.
I'm restarting the show notes because this fucker's being a fucker.
I've rearranged the entire podcast into a brand new order.
I'm going to hit him when I see him next week. Just for it, because that's how long I hold a grudge for.
He's going to make me watch Jeff Keighley showcase.
I'm not. We do not have to watch that if you don't want to. We can literally just fuck off out and ignore it.
What if I just bring a board game, like a 2-player game, and the joke will be, we'll have it on in the background, but we'll just be playing the game and not watching it.
You do know if we didn't watch it or whatever, it probably is the greatest showcase Jeff Keighley will ever do in his life.
I mean, the bar's not high. You say that. You say that, and I'm like, that could still mean it's bad.
It still means it's boring and slow and everything, Moody. You know this. Come on, man.
Day of the Devs is afterwards, though. So, we got to watch that because I like Day of the Devs.
Day of the Devs.
That's the indie one that because you see. I don't know if you've ever watched Day of the Devs. Because what happens is, and you will watch it.
I think I watched it for the first time
last year. Because you will watch it this year because I'm going to be in the same physical space as you.
And I have no choice, even though it's my house.
Basically.
Okay. And my equipment and my TV and everything. Okay.
Basically, yeah. But it's my YouTube channel. And Twitch channel. It's our Twitch channel. But,
that's awesome.
Nah, it's ours. But, I don't think you've ever watched it. I don't know if you've ever watched it because what happens is you watch Jeff Keighley's Summer Jam and then you get angry and leave. And then I'm sitting here going, indie games.
It's going to be a very interesting contrast with us both in the room watching this shit all next week.
I'm going to, what I would like to do is do all of the showcases, or all of the ones that we want to watch. I don't think we're doing every single one. I know for a fact I'm not watching the Ubisoft Forward.
Wait, I thought they said they weren't doing one.
Yeah, no, they're not going to E3, but they're still doing a Forward. They're still doing their thing. They were doing it separately.
Yeah,
and
download
all of the streams afterwards and just do a supercut of all of the glances that we do at each other.
So I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to set this up properly. I have to get my mic from here to there. And the camera's okay. The camera can probably just go on this monitor and just aim at us. Unless we want it in the front of us, then I need a...
I have a... You might
need to bring equipment down.
I'm bringing equipment down. I'm going to bring lights. I'm going to bring my light just in case we need an extra light. And I've got an extension cable for the USB... A USB extension cable, so because I've used it for charity streams before, that's how I was able to make two rooms when we did that massive one where we had a VR room with all the setup and I karate chopped the webcam because I couldn't see it. and I'm going to bring the microphone because my friend used to do a 2-person live stream, and they had a dual microphone setup. Because I mean, I've done a lot of charity live streams where we've only had the one microphone, and if there's one person on the stream, it sounds awesome. If there's 2 or more people on the stream, it sounds fucking terrible. It's like, what? So yeah, I'm gonna.
But it is a decent mic, and we'll just whack it to max settings and just fucking deaf everybody.
Yeah,
I'll put my Star Trek ships close by just in case Jeff Keighley blows the shit out of us. Let's rephrase this. God, we know Jeff Keighley's going to blow the shit out of us. Just in case. It's a Garen fucking T.
I'm sad. I've done these. This is kind of exciting because this is the first time I've done like E3 properly since like
COVID.
Before COVID.
Yeah.
Where it's like people in the same location doing a thing, and like. I have a system. I have a game. I have a game, an E3 game, and I just play that game. Mask of the Rose comes out on the Thursday, so I'm just going to download that on my Switch and just play that.
Sweet.
That's my system.
Yeah. Okay. What time does these things start for us? It's 9, isn't it?
8.
8. Oh, okay. So we're gonna have to talk about things off stream and everything.
Where is your precise location?
What is your landing date? What is your precise location? All of these things. My partner's been asking me about this. She was like, "So, do you know where to pick her up? No. Do you know what time she lands? No. Do you two communicate with each other? No.
Not really. No. We play video games together." When they were.
Yeah. I don't know why.
That was fun.
Fast before me just didn't want to work, and then Fall Guys is just like, no, I don't want to work either. And I was just thinking, it can't be because I'm installing something, because that's on the other internet. So I'm just thinking,
look at Mr. 1% with his 2 internet connections.
Oh, bite me.
This is the peasant's internet that I'm going to let Amy connect to while she's here, and this is the good internet. This one's just for me.
The peasant internet downloads things faster than me.
You don't help yourself when you call it the peasant's internet yourself.
No, you started with an analogy. I'm taking it and I'm using it.
I'm gonna beat you with it.
So, Amy, this is the peasant's email.
Where are you an email? I've got my own.
That's true. I don't know why I said email. This is the first thing that came to my head.
These are the social media accounts that you're allowed to use while you're in this house.
Yes. What? That is none. Wait, what? Oh, it's going to be fun. I am so looking forward to it. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen each other properly physically since since Christmas, was it?
Yeah, it was like...
Yeah, I came up for Christmas to see the family, obviously, and we picked a day to come and see you as well.
The farm.
The farm plan.
We went to the toy shop.
We went to the toy shop again, yes. I need to see. We're going to have to see if there's a Swift Star.
We spent a totally normal amount of money on food.
Yes. Why did you fucking remind me of that shit? Oh, no.
So I could follow.
No wonder I don't sleep these days.
So I could follow it up with how generous you are.
It's my subconscious is torturing me.
20% tip? Yeah. Why? I said, why not?
Oh, no, why? You reminded me of this shit when he already added a tip to the fucking bad service.
The service wasn't bad.
I still wouldn't have tipped the service either way.
You just didn't enjoy the food that much.
I didn't get to eat any of it. Even when I got home, I had a pizza when I got home, and I was not sharing.
My pizza, mine.
My precious food. Oh my god, my belly's filling at last. Oh god.
I mean, I didn't even order any of my own food. I just.
I know you didn't either. You were just like, it's food. I can eat this. It's good.
This is edible.
But it tastes delicious when you don't pay it, doesn't it? 5-star Michelin service.
The memes were incredible. Moody just coming out of the restaurant looking like he'd just been shot.
He did. Something was shot. My wallet was shot.
What just happened? And then I'm like, I need to go and buy a magazine. And you're just like, I don't know what to do. I need a magazine, man. Moody.
Are you okay, Moody? No, I'm not. And the missus is like, I'm like, my money, my wallet, it was so empty.
I never had tapas before as well. It was the first time I never had it.
Oh God. Oh God.
I feel like after that incident, I'm never going to hear the phrase, like next week when I come down, I'm not going to hear the phrase, don't worry, I'll pay for it. Even though it wasn't my fault.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like, no,
you're right of mine, I'm not going to lie. Oh no, it was. No, it wasn't fun. I'm not gonna lie, but the day itself, apart from that part, was fun. I always like like hanging out with you and everything like that.
Yeah,
so.
no, it is. It is.
But
fun.
no, yeah, it's. I won't lie. After we finish recording, I'm gonna hunt down the Smiths around here.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna look it up, 100%. Because I know we're gonna do. There's things we have planned, right? So it's like, okay, we'll figure shit out.
Yeah.
I've put all of the E3 times in that, and I think they're all live now, and they're all in the calendar. So, like, we can figure out what we're doing and what we're not doing, and etc. But yeah, no, like it's gonna be fun. We need to figure out a podcast. I was meant to ask you this off podcast, but since it's about the podcast, I'll just ask you in the intro. Like, we probably need to record a podcast early.
So what time is everything? Because I'm looking at the calendar. Is my calendar not linked up to yours? Here it is.
I mean, we need. I just want to talk about the podcast.
Well, for recording next week.
For next week, yeah, because we'll put it out. We'll do an E3 podcast.
Yeah.
And then we'll do I've already got a structure in mind. I'll go through it with you. And we just need to record it early, and I'll put it out on the Wednesday instead of the Thursday. I mean, don't get me wrong. We could record a podcast instead of watching Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, but we should probably watch Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest. Also, I don't have any of my editing software on your computer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. We'll discuss it. We'll discuss it.
Okay.
We'll have a proper discussion. Because they're not here to listen to us talking about our plans for next week.
But that's what's happening next week. The podcast will be a day early. Probably.
Probably. We're not 100% sure.
If it doesn't come out the day early, it's sure as shit ain't coming out the day of, because I'm only on a bus. Think Moody's Peasants Wi-Fi is bad, just try connecting the Wi-Fi on a coach. Oh dear.
Oh, God. It's going to be hectic, it's going to be fun, and that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm. All of those things. It's going to be great. And then people are like, oh, you want to organize something for like the immediate second you return from Manchester? Like, no.
I do not.
No, I do not. Thank you. I would like at least one day.
To relax.
Yeah.
And chill to myself.
Like, I'm sure it's going to be relaxed and chilled, but, we are doing stuff pretty much every day that I'm down there. Plus, non-E3 related stuff. Like, social things. Like, going to the cinema, going for walks, having a cane fight. Just, normal things that people do.
Exactly.
And with all that diatribe out of the way, that's the question I normally ask. I normally would have asked, like, almost 15 minutes ago. How are you?
I'm good. I'm not bad at all. I'm chill, actually. Pretty chill. I worked from home today, which is good. So I've literally been in these clothes all day. Like, I haven't worn proper clothes. This is just, the underneath is PJs. And everything. But no, yeah. I respect it as well. Thank God no one asked me to go on camera. That would have been an interesting sight. But no, no, yeah, I'm all right. I'm pretty chill.
Just raise your desk so just the top of your head is
All you see is just the white wall, all the nerd shit behind. But no, yeah, as you can see, I have new curtains. Blackout curtains, because I thought I need blackout curtains. And they hide all the window now, because the little ones only cut half of it out. And I needed all of it out. No light in this room, not allowed, even though I've got plants everywhere and they like need light. But
yeah, sure.
I figure it out.
I've heard.
How are you?
I'm all right, actually.
How was the return?
Fine. Tiring, but I'm properly on the mend now, so it's like whatever.
That's good. That's good. You're not overdoing it.
No.
You're lifting with your back instead of your legs. The joke's never going to get tired for me. I know it isn't.
It will when I punch you in the back.
I'll just keep doing it. I know I am. I'm not stupid. Even if you're next to me.
Want to talk about my back so much? Talk about your own.
Oh, mine's fucked.
No, I'm getting there. Like, I'm starting to realize, like, I might actually recover from this. Like, you know, when you're injured or sick for long enough, you get into that state of mind of, like, this is my new reality and it will never get any better.
Yeah.
I'm out of that phase now where I'm like, oh, things really can get better. Just like that song.
Can only get better.
The song wasn't lying to me.
Literally wasn't.
I mean, I've had that problem before.
Haven't we all?
Had a lot of problems. And speaking of problems, I'm so good.
All right, that was a sweet segue. That was a segue.
We're kicking it off. As I said, things are a little different. We're going all news, halftime, indie game of the week, all Moody reviewing games. End of podcast.
And there will be no time stops for it all, so you can't skip it all.
There will be time jumps.
Damn it.
There will.
Don't give them the option to skip me.
No comment. Let's talk about Bobby Kotick. Kotick blames scandals on a very aggressive labor movement. I feel like I've cut off the first part of that. I feel like that headline probably said Activision Blizzard's Bobby Kotick blames scandals on a very aggressive labor movement, but I've accidentally only copy-pasted part of the headline. So I'll just roll with it. This is from Brendan Sinclair over at gamesindustry.biz. He writes, Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick believes the company's image problems stem from a workplace culture that spawned numerous... Not from a workplace culture that spawned numerous gender discrimination lawsuits from former employees and state and federal agencies alike, but from, quote, outside forces, end quote, and unionization supporters. In an interview with Variety, Kotick said his biggest mistake was not being more forceful in trying to defend the company, particularly when the Wall Street Journal published a detailed report of numerous incidents, including Kotick threatening to have an assistant killed, intervening to protect a senior employee accused of sexual harassment after the HR department determined that employee should be fired, and firing a flight attendant on a private jet he co-owned after she complained the pilot had sexually harassed her. Kotick said, quote, "We've had every possible form of investigation done, and we did not have a systemic issue with harassment ever." I'm doing the physical thing of let's just put a pin in that for a minute. He continued to say, "We didn't have any of what were mischaracterizations reported in the media. But what we did have was a very aggressive labor movement working hard to try to destabilize the company," end quote. No specific allegation was mentioned as mischaracterized or false, and the Wall Street Journal provided Variety with a quote saying it stood by, quote, "its fair and accurate reporting on Activision," end quote. Kotick blames outside forces for the company's image problems, saying labor organizers played a part in the state and federal gender discrimination lawsuits, as well as a number of employee walkouts that occurred over the past couple of years. Kotick insisted he was not anti-union, saying, quote, "If we have employees who want a union to represent them, and they believe that the union is going to be able to provide them with opportunities and enhancements to their work experience, I'm all for it. I have a mother who was a teacher. I have no aversion to a union. What I do have an aversion to is a union that doesn't play by the rules," end quote. Activision Blizzard leadership has reportedly told employees unionization could, quote, "hurt our ability to continue creating great games," end quote, and explain its efforts against unionization, saying, quote, "We believe a direct relationship with team members is the best path to achieving individual company goals," end quote. The National Labour Relations Board also found merit to complaints that Activision Blizzard illegally retaliated against unionizing workers and threatened to stop them from discussing wages, hours, and working conditions. Finally, Kotick addressed what he sees happening if the Microsoft deal doesn't go through. Quote, "We have a great company. We have an enormous amount of momentum, and we have an extraordinary balance sheet. And we can continue to be successful alone like we have for the last 30 years. But it'll be great if the deal goes through because I think it's the right thing for our industry," end quote. There's fucking hair stuck to my monitor and I can't get it off. I don't know if anyone's been watching this, just see me just continuing to like doing this. It's like, there's a fucking hair. So Bobby Kotick did an interview with Variety. That's gone down really well on the internet.
The picture they used is just scary as hell.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, any picture of Bobby Kotick is scary.
It's scary, there's no doubt, yeah.
But, like, first of all, shout out to Variety for doing an interview and letting him lie continuously, completely unchallenged. Exceptional journalistic standards you've got there. Now, we're going to circle back to the part where he said, where he talked about Activision Blizzard not having a culture of systemic toxicity in the next news story, because the funniest thing that could have happened after this interview happened. But, like, let's tackle the rest of it. Let's go, Moody.
Well, this is just, as always, like, a load of bollocks, as we know, when it comes to Bobby Kotick. The guy is about one thing and one thing only, and that is the green dollar. We know this. Excuse me. Everything he says is a load of bollocks. Trying to say that it's outside forces and unionization supporters that have destabilized the company, made their games maybe come out worse or something like that. It's not because of your work culture or anything like that at all, or the thing that we're going to talk about in the next story of the sexual harassment and everything that your company has infested into every corner of the developers you have, to the management, the high management parts, and you feel like there's nothing wrong. You think the worst thing is that you think there's nothing wrong with what's going on and everything, and you don't give a flying hoot. And we know this, Bobby Kotick. Yeah, it's like it's bollocks. I just said bollocks a lot in one sentence. I just realized that.
Bobby Kotick, more like bollocks Kotick.
Okay, but no, yeah, it's like the outside forces.
Yeah, the outside forces, like, they're out to get me. Like, who's there, Bob? I'm gonna call you Bob. I don't respect you. Who's there? There's never an answer, right? It's always just they're out to get me, and like, you can tell it's bollocks. And this is just a puff piece by Variety looking for clicks, because, like, he'll talk about, hey, we've had every possible investigation done, and everything was mischaracterized, and if the Variety interviewer had just said, "Could you give me one example?" that would have been amazing. They didn't. And because there isn't an example. Because if he could prove that any one of those things from the Wall Street Journal article specifically, or anything in general, he could label as being a mischaracterization of him or his company, he would have done so.
Yeah.
Like, he would have said, hey, like that time, I like threatened to have my assistant killed, like, that was bollocks. Like, he could have said that was untrue because X, Y, and Z, but instead he just went, nah, it's all shit, mate. outside forces.
Yeah, he's a typical CEO who will not use any facts to back himself up and just say it's shit.
Yeah.
That's all he does. That's what they all do.
The problem is they've realized that they could get away with this.
Yeah.
In the past few years, they've realized they could say whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. Like what you just said, like the lack of journalistic content from this person from the Variety article and everything. Like it's just it's crap to see and everything like that. And Bobby's just he's a little weasel, and that's being kind. In a plethora of weasels that sadly always get away with shit.
Yeah,
and that's just one of those things. Like he says, he like, what was the thing at the end about the Microsoft thing that he thinks it'll go through, or
no,
it's
he's
the right
saying
thing
like
to go through. Yes, he thinks it's the right thing to go through because it's the right thing for his wallet. Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about. Unlike my wallet that went empty when I hung out with Amy last time.
And we didn't even try to buy a video game publisher.
I know. Kotick's wallet will never go empty, sadly.
No. Like, there's a couple of things. So I read the full Variety article, obviously. But it's huge, and I don't want to be talking for 10 minutes at a time. But there are a couple of quotes related to the Xbox paragraph in this gamesindustry.biz article that I thought were really funny. For starters, well, not funny, but like for starters, the extraordinary balance sheet he's mentioning is they've got $12 billion in the bank. Like that's their thing. So like the next time you see them complain about how expensive video games are to make, how much they can't give people pay rises, or how they've had to regrettably let a bunch of people go, just remember, they've got a bank balance of $12 billion. I don't even think I've got a bank balance of $12. But hey, I'm not a massive video game corporation. The second one, which I thought was funny, was Bobby Kotick saying I really like Phil Spencer. And I was like, damn. That's like, if you're Phil Spencer, you don't want to hear that. Oh shit, the most hated man in video games said he liked me. We've got a good relationship. Oh no.
Your working relationship, old Kotick.
Well, I don't know if he specified a working relationship. I didn't think that was quite funny though. I'd just be like, man, I would do if I read that sentence and I was like in charge of a company or something, I would use every piece of corporate speak to distance myself from that. Politely distance myself from that statement. Be like, whoa, man, fuck, don't drag me into your shit, bro.
Yeah, definitely, no doubt about it. And like, just as always, like, to the unions out there, you keep on working hard and supporting the people in this video game industry. You keep doing this, you create more and more and more, and hurt them. Hurt these big corporations, because the only way they're going to listen is when you actually start hurting them in their wallet. And that's why Kotick's trying to get out. That's why he's trying to get out. He hasn't created this deal to go with Microsoft so he can stay in. He's to him to get the hell out, and we know this, so he can get away scot-free and nothing to ever happen to him. We all know this. And that sadly is what's going to happen, but we just got to keep on pushing and keep on pushing in the entire industry. The Activision Blizzard is not the only culprit here. We know this. Like, just unionize out there and just support your workforce. It ain't rocket science. Like, I'm incredibly lucky that I'm working in an incredible place that looks after me and looks after the team I work with. So it's like, I can't ask for much more. And it's that simple. It really is that simple. A happy workforce is a happy workplace.
Make happy games.
Yeah.
No. Make good games.
Yeah.
You don't make happy games. You make some happy games.
I make people happy for playing the games.
I mean, was I happy when I finished The Last of Us Part 2? No.
I didn't make that game.
Was I happy? Yeah. I'm just thinking, like, there are games that are good, very good games, very well made, that don't make me feel a lot of things, but happiness isn't one of them.
Yeah, but you're picking a game I didn't make. So
I know, but you did make a game that I don't think is going to make me very happy, but I think I'm going to enjoy quite a lot.
Okay, I get that. That's
So
fair.
you see the minds I'm dancing around, trying to get my point across as
I know what you're saying.
directly as possible.
Listen to me while I'm not directly telling you what I mean for the audience, but you know what I mean. You know that I know that you know that I know what I mean.
There's layers to this shit.
There's layers of this shit, yeah.
And speaking of the layers to this shit, do you know when Bobby Kotick does a puff piece interview in Variety, where like he's not challenged at all on any of the things that he says by the person who's interviewing him, or if he is, that didn't end up in the article. One of the funniest things that could possibly happen during that course of events is if Bobby Kotick would say something along the lines of, "Oh, there's no problem of a systemically toxic workplace." And for then someone like, I don't know, say Stephen Totillo of Axios Gaming to, about an hour later, publish an article with the title, Activision Blizzard substantiated more than 24 misconduct incidents by employees last year. And it was funny. That's exactly what happened. And Stephen wrote, Activision Blizzard saw an uptick in employee reports of misconduct in late 2022, a rise the company attributes to greater scrutiny of the issues. The game maker's inaugural transparency report, which was released on Wednesday, says the company received 114 reports of harassment, discrimination, or retaliation by its employees last year. Investigators substantiated 29 of them, some of which involved multiple employees. The company says it took over 36 corrective actions as a result of these incidents, including terminating workers for discriminatory language, physical assault, misgendering, unwanted advances, retaliation, and two cases of non-consensual touching. The Activision board wrote in the report, quote, even one instance of harassment, discrimination, or retaliation is one too many. And we had more than 100. We have robust procedures in place to resolve workplace concerns in a neutral and fair manner and to take appropriate corrective action, end quote. The board called the increase in reported misconduct in 2022 a, quote, sign of a healthy reporting culture and effective training, end quote. The report also notes that Activision Blizzard had 15,545 full-time workers last year. The transparency report was released following a request from stockholders. Last year, Activision Blizzard stockholders defied the board's recommendation and voted in favor of a shareholder proposal for the company to release a harassment report. The proposal called for a tally of misconduct reports at the game maker and an accounting of the time it took to resolve them and the amount of money spent settling misconduct claims.
When shit speaks, shit against him comes out. It always happens.
I wonder if, like, I'm going to try and do a dramatic recreation of Stephen Totillo on his laptop. I'm assuming he works on a laptop. And then he's like, oh, a Bobby Kotick interview. And then he reads it and he gets to the end and he just starts laughing. Like, it's just like about to hit the publish button. But, no, yeah. So, like, it continues at Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, of course it does. Like, we all knew it was and everything like that, and like we know like the numbers are going down when it comes to their employees and everything like that because they're struggling to even keep up with content when it comes to like their online content for like Warzone and everything like that. So like, I'm curious, is there a new Call of Duty this year or is that next year?
I don't know.
I can't fully remember. I don't know. We did the last one. We had one last year, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I'm pretty sure when we reported that they're skipping this year.
Potentially, I can't remember.
Yeah, but I think that was more because of like.
I don't think
they were expecting the Microsoft deal to go through.
I believe it was Microsoft's intention, but obviously they're not going to be owned by Microsoft anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out next week, I guess, if we're getting a new Call of Duty this year. But either way, like they're struggling like to get the content made. They're struggling to even get the video games made and everything for it because the workforce are just getting ran into the ground. They're getting discriminated against, getting sexual harassments towards them and everything, and the whole freaking shebang. And Bobby Kotick just freaking just brushes it under the carpet, thinking, "Oh, there's nothing there." Boom. Is that deal gone through, Beth? Oh, good. Type of thing.
I've got Beth. I've got my yacht guy on the phone. Has this deal gone through yet?
Yeah.
What's a CMA?
Who are these fuckers? Damn British!
The fucking Brits!
Fucking...
Believe me, that would be the one thing me and Kotick would ever agree on. Fucking Brits. But
I thought we dealt with you 300 years ago.
yeah, what the fuck? This is
I'm being
America.
rough on the number there. America.
This is America.
But no, it's like we know all this shit, and it's like we know it's still continuing there. It's shit that it's still continuing there, but it's Activision Blizzard. It's under a management that is absolutely deplorable and doesn't give a flying fuck about them. If the deal does go through, we've said on multiple occasions, the hope is that Microsoft would be able to. It would be a slow process, but get rid of the shit and turn it into a great place to work and everything like that.
But that might be relevant later.
But
it's almost like a channeling some stories together, really.
It's like she knows what I was going to say. It's like, what would Moody say? Oh yeah, that's what he would say. That this lines up perfectly with this story. Great. But no, it's like, yeah, I don't like when it comes to. I'm never surprised anymore when it comes to Bobby Kotick and Activision Blizzard. So, yeah.
It sucks. Like, I know I was making a joke at the beginning of this part of the podcast saying what would be the funniest thing that could happen. But like, and it is pretty funny. But the actual like things that happen at Activision Blizzard are not funny.
Yeah.
I'm fucking sick of it. And I know there's nothing I can do about it. But
yeah, there's no doubt about it. I agree with you.
But yeah, it's just like fucking can we not just like I don't know. Like everyone's about to stop playing Diablo 4 and not give a shit. So like hey, those reviews dropped.
The thing
and
is
they
about
look good.
The thing is about it, they let's just be frank, we know people don't give a shit. The thing is about it, it's like people don't give a shit about what's happening at these companies and everything. They don't, because if they did, they would still continue to call them out. They wouldn't even play their games. They wouldn't do anything of this type of thing. They would probably hold them account, but no one does. And it's crap. It's deplorable, and that's the thing about it.
I get the nuance thing. Like, I'm going to set aside the people who just want to play Diablo because they enjoy Diablo and they don't like thinking about anything more than just video game. Like there is like
sounds like another thing we talked about earlier this year.
There is a nuance to like these developers. Like they're cool people. Like the people who made Diablo 4 are really cool, and I would like, and it would be cool to support them, especially like if they make something that I like. I would like to play it and find them and be like, the thing that you worked really hard on was really good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
but like. So I'm not saying like you have to boycott all these companies because we don't have any fucking video games to play. Like it's a case by case thing basically. But like to not actually like bring it up, right? Or like to just be like, like I'm sure IGN's probably like if more people gave a shit about this, I'm sure IGN would put out a review and be like, our only job is to see if a game's fun or not. And it had too much water in it. But so there's a streamer I know. He's doing a sponsored stream of Diablo 4. Not now, obviously, like Tuesday. And like, she can't talk about any of this shit on the stream itself. But she just put a message in a Discord explaining all of that. And was like, hey, here's the thing, here's the issue, here's what I'm doing, here's what I can't do. I can't talk about it on the stream. And then fuck Bobby Kotick at the bottom of it. If you don't want to turn up, that's fair.
Yeah.
But I also need to get paid.
That's fair. They would have come to her. She wouldn't have gone to them. I'd be very surprised on that.
Yeah.
Just going off what I know now and everything like that.
Oh, big stuff. So, like I get emails all the time about sponsorship activations, even though my channel rarely gets used anymore these days. I still get them. It's usually not even like through Activision Blizzard itself, but like, you know what I mean? There's ways of doing the thing and like playing the game, doing, even if it's a sponsored stream or it's not a sponsored stream, you're just playing it or doing a review of it, but doing what you can to like highlight all of this stuff. You know what I mean? Because like we talked about last week playing Diablo, right? And
yeah,
like,
we did. Yeah.
If we do play Diablo and we sit on this podcast and talk about it, you better believe you're going to hear some more shit about how, like, what Activision Blizzard's all about. And then also what the game's all about.
Yeah,
the first and last thing we talk about. And in the middle, we'll be like, hey, video game.
That's it's a conundrum, no doubt about it. It is a very much a conundrum and everything. We'll see what happens when it comes to it. Again, I hope everyone who was there is trying to look after themselves properly as best they can and everything, and hopefully if whatever decision you guys want to do, if you want to leave the company and everything like that, and I hope you land on your feet and find a great company that will look after you and respect who you are and everything, and work with amazing people. Because right now, sadly, Activision Blizzard is just nothing but a toxic cesspit of terribleness, and I hate that.
Yeah, I also I get what Activision Blizzard's statement was trying to say with the line, the board called the increase in reported misconduct in 2022 a quote sign of healthy reporting culture and effective training, end quote. But don't celebrate that. Okay, cool, you've effectively trained more people to report whether they're being terminated for discriminatory language, physical assault, misgendered, unwanted advantages with retaliation or non-consensual touching. That's great, but maybe train people to not do any of those things.
But also properly if you're hiring people, properly vet them. You need to make sure that you're hiring the right person here and everything. And I know that can be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, sometimes people can slip through nets and stuff. Some people interview really well, and then
yeah, there's no doubt about it. Obviously, just things have happening and just in real life and everything. Real life. It's not this is not real life, David. You fucking idiot. Yeah, and not in the gaming industry, with police over here in the UK and everything, and other sectors. And it's just it is sadly everywhere, but things need to be worked out more. To my knowledge, I don't think anybody goes off the references whatsoever. To every place I've worked at and everything, not the way I'm at now and everything, because I do know they did speak to someone for my reference. I do know this and everything, and they moved it but in hospitality, they never check your reference whatsoever. At all. They never do. They just want to see if you've made the effort of getting references and whatnot, or saying you have a reference and whatnot. And that's just
do you know two people? Good enough for us.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell stories.
I don't know this person who I've been sleeping with for the last 13 years at all.
You would do something like that.
But no, yeah.
Yeah, so let's move swiftly on.
Poor segue there, Amy. Poor segue. You bad it, knocked it out of the park in the first two, and this one's just
For our audio listeners, if looks could kill,
she's
Moody
drilling.
would be dead.
The sight is drilling into you right now.
You're not going to be able to get away with this shit next week. I'm just saying. I'm right there.
We're my best behaved, Dan.
Let's
see what I take, people. I get threatened by her all the time, and I just take it. Oh, you don't have nothing to say there, Amy. Oh, you sound just like Bobby Kotick does, huh?
Actually, I think you'll find I was about to read the story. I'm not going to until you apologize for that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't give a shit if this podcast turns out terrible. How dare you?
I'm sorry.
Redfall suffered unclear direction during development, new report suggests. This is from Ed Nightingale over at Eurogamer. He writes,
For nothing.
the development of Redfall, Arcane's latest multiplayer shooter, was plagued with issues like unclear direction, frequent attrition, and a lack of staff. That's according to a new report by Bloomberg, speaking to over a dozen anonymous developers who worked on the game. Microsoft had billed Redfall as its next big exclusive game, but it ultimately proved a critical and commercial failure. The report states that Bethesda parent company ZeniMax was encouraging studios to develop games as a service that could generate revenue post-release, all while it sought to sell itself. As such, and following the commercially unsuccessful Prey, bosses at Arcane wanted to create a more broadly appealing game, which emerged as Redfall. However, Redfall was pitched to staff as a, quote, multiplayer Arcane game, end quote, with some staff confused as to how that incorporated the, quote, immersive sim, why did I say quote, how that incorporated the immersive sim elements that the studio was known for. The game's directors, Harvey Smith and Ricardo Behr, have been accused by staff of not providing clear direction. The likes of Far Cry and Borderlands were referenced, but the vision was unclear and left a fundamental tension between single-player and multiplayer design. Redfall also had a significant microtransaction plan in place for its first 3 years of development. This was only removed in 2021 as monetization plans were scrapped. Moreover, Arcane's office in Austin employed less than 100 people, meaning the team was understaffed to compete with other popular multiplayer games. As morale suffered, developers uninterested in a multiplayer game left. By the end of Redfall's development, around 70% of staff who worked on Prey had left the studio. Arcane then struggled to fill vacancies owing to ZeniMax's reputation for lower than average salaries and the conservative policies of the studio's home state of Texas. This was exacerbated due to the game's unannounced status, meaning game details could not be shared with prospective employees. Many were looking to work on immersive sims where Arcane wanted staff with multiplayer experience. Microsoft's $7.5 billion acquisition of ZeniMax did not improve the situation as staff had hoped. Microsoft took a hands-off approach, allowing issues to persist. Xbox boss Phil Spencer admitted in a recent interview that Microsoft didn't do a good job early on in engaging with Arcane. End quote. In the game's final months of development, leadership assured staff that, quote, arcane magic, end quote, would manifest even after delays. The game's poor reception suggests otherwise.
There's another thing than biomagic? Arcane magic?
Like, I've heard it said enough that I take it as fact that, like, from game developers, that most games don't really come together until that final phase of a game's development, but it sure fucking seems like some studios have decided to weaponize that into this fucking bio magic or arcane magic nonsense. Like, because we've heard this multiple times now. It's like, don't worry, it'll all come together. We just have to work 80 hours a week and never go home and never eat shower. And fucking hell, man. Shout out to Jason Schreier for coming through on the Redfall story, which we knew someone was going to do.
Yeah, true. Because I think, I won't lie, he would have heard the kind of funny thing and he was just like, yeah, this other stuff here, Jeff. Not the...
Phil, Greg, Mike?
Not Jeff. Not Jeff. Phil, there's other things here, Phil. I know there is. You could smell it. And he was like,
we've been smelling it for months. This is number 4.
Yeah. Sadly, it's just one of those things that are just continuing out there, and it's like everyone's like banging on. Like, this is another thing of like what you said on the last episode where you're singing about, especially on this amazing new video that you dropped, which we'll talk about later, of like the studios or publishers or big old money grabbers, capitalists, grabbing onto a thing that they think is going to be successful and forcing the place to do something if they don't want to do it and everything. And that just seems like this is kind of and we're seeing it everywhere. Multiplayer games or games as a service and everything and that type of thing. And it's if they gets the big hype at a certain part, but when it releases, it drops like a fart in a hurricane, and it just doesn't land really well, and it's just really, really bad, especially when the developers, certain part of the teams, don't want to be doing these type of games. And that is a shame and everything for that, and like because of it, like it's clear that there's just people who just did not want to do that type of game have decided we're going to move on and do our own type of thing, and or go and find somewhere else where I'm going to be creating something I'm really passionate about. And it's just one of those things. It's just showing the mismanagement. Like Phil Spencer told us ourselves that it was for him. It was far into development that they should have jumped on it earlier and everything like that. Well, that's again just another line of mismanagement, not looking after the project properly, and just yeah. And it's a shame because like I know like you, big fan of Arcane, you love their games, the Dishonored's, Praise, and everything like that. And they've got the heads have gone for the big old multiplayer game, thinking it'll save their asses and everything like that.
Well, it's just the trend chase. It's just the trend chase, and like we talked about it last week a bit with PlayStation's showcase, and their plan for this current phase of the PS5's life cycle. And this might come up in a minute as well. And in video games take so long to develop. By the time that you've decided you're going to chase a trend, the trend's dead. Or the trend is not dead because there's lots of live service games that like are obviously juggernauts. The trend is so set in stone that you're going to have real trouble breaking in with anything new.
Yeah.
Because, we've got Destiny and we've got Fortnite and we've got, all of the live service games that are huge. And you have to pull enough people away from there to justify your own live service game. Redfall was on Game Pass. And I said it in my review of the game when I talked about it a few weeks ago. Even if it wasn't buggy and broken, I don't think it would have pulled people away from the other games. I don't think it would have pulled in players. Like, from what I played, look, judging, like, setting aside the bugs and judging it purely from a game design standpoint of like would people play this if it worked properly? And I don't think many people would have, because I don't think there was much there in terms of a game that would have captured people and made them want to play like for hundreds of hours.
Yeah, that's this.
And it seems like the development team agreed with me in that assessment.
Good. Yeah, it does. It really, really does, and it's just one of those things. It's the thing that we've seen throughout the entire industry, that companies are grabbing onto a trend and thinking it's going to be a trend that's going to make them a quick buck, and it's not. It's not making them a quick buck. Arguably, they're losing money because they've tried to make this quick buck because of it, and. This is a thing that sadly is going to continue, because like what you said last week when you were talking about Zelda and everything like that every company right now is going to grab onto the one great trend that's working on the Zelda, the mechanic creating thing.
They're seeing the thing that everybody's talking about, which is the crafting ability.
Yeah.
And they're going to go, we need that in our open world game. It happened. Horizon Forbidden West had a fucking paraglider in it. Why? Because Breath of the Wild had a fucking paraglider in it. And that was the only reason that was in there. But they're not going to take into account all of the other things that Zelda does. Like, that makes that all work. Like, you can't have the crafting system wouldn't be as fun and probably wouldn't be as viral in Tears of the Kingdom without the physics system, which has to be robust because there's another ability in the game called Recall, which lets you rewind lots of different objects. And to be able to rewind them, the game has to track where they were. So that it has to have a really robust physics system. Most companies are like most development studios are going to copy one without the other because they only see because it's an edict from on high.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Yeah, and some will work, but most won't.
Yeah,
that's the thing about it.
There'll be some games where you'll be like, "This is cool," and it's got like Zelda-ish inspirations, and then there'll be others where it's like, "Why'd you put this in the video game?"
Yeah, no doubt about that, and it's crap to see it. It is crap to see it.
But, and this is, you could copy paste. You could literally replace all of the words in here, like Redfall with Anthem and ZeniMax with EA and Arcane with BioWare, and it's more or less the same story over again. And like, sometimes I like games is business and they have to make money, but also like games are art, and when companies treat games too much like a business, like, or a profit revenue stream or whatever, the games end up the games are the things that end up suffering, you know.
Yeah, it's the whole product of Xbox is suffering right now because of this, because of Redfall. Right now, we talked about when Redfall came out and everything, and like last week, like from that idiot making a stupid claim about Starfield and everything like that, about the games that you popped off for that they released last year that were like 8s, 9s, 10 out of 10s by the critics and everything like that. They were just not the big AAA development game for what they would. That everyone expects to see and everything like that, and because the quote unquote big looking one has come out and crashed and burned like a fart in a hurricane, it's just that they are now hurting. This whole company now, Xbox, that brand is hurting because of this one massive failure because of them deciding that releasing the game and everything like that. And whatnot, and because now, like I've spoken to many people about it, that a lot of people believe that next week, Sunday, that has to be massive for Microsoft, for Xbox as the brand in general. They need to show people, why investing in Xbox is a great idea. Why investing in Game Pass is truly a great idea. Why investing into the games that they are going to reveal and launch eventually is going to be worth waiting and everything. And that's just because that's what of one game that sadly has happened, that has sadly done that. And the reputation is a massive thing in the industry, and you can really hurt your reputation. Like hearing like what we've spoken about on multiplication, but I'll reiterate, like Phil, like he came out and said, "Oh, we're third in the position." That's we all know that, but you don't need to come out and say that. Now, as I look back on it, I'm just thinking you don't need to admit this or anything like that. You don't need to tell people saying, "Oh, we are last in this quote unquote console war type of thing," and everything like that. And it's just the more I've looked back on it, it just came across, which is understandable because they had their literal ass kicked because of the Redfall reviews, defeatism. And I know a lot of people have thought it was very refreshing. When he came across of certain things, was really refreshing, coming out and holding his hand up and everything. It's really, really canny. But a week Sunday has to be massive for them and everything.
The contrition only works. Like it is refreshing to see like Phil Spencer like just hold his hands up at the Redfall thing and just go, you know what, we fucked that, didn't we? But like, okay, but what are you gonna do about it? Yeah. And maybe the answer is Starfield. You know what I mean? Maybe the answer is Starfield, which is only a few months. If Starfield comes out and fucking blows everybody's socks off and it's an amazing game,
with its 7s and 6s and
people
all that,
aren't gonna remember what happened to Redfall. I'll remember, because
no doubt about it,
because it hurts me personally. But because I played it and also like I love arcane games. But
they've been getting punched like crazy, but there's no doubt about it. Like the one thing always changes everything. Winning changes everything.
Exactly.
It does. Winning changes everything.
Like,
and if Starfield comes out and it's 9s, 10 out of 10s, and it's a game that's screaming so awesome that makes, say, you and me to give it a try. I'm probably going to give it a try either way, but I know you're very mixed on their games.
Yeah.
And everything, and you go out and give it a try, and you come out and say, actually, that was really good. I enjoyed that. That is a fucking bonus and a half.
Like Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, like Tears of the Kingdom. Neither of us were really excited of that game. Yes, we know the hype of it and everything for that type of game and everything. We can appreciate that, but it's like, you need big hitters, and like I said last week, Microsoft have no big hitters right now, and they need to come out swinging or somehow. Don't say if the games aren't ready, don't show them. There's no doubt about that. But if you've got something to show, please say you've got something to show, and it can't just be AAA and AA. It has to be first party. You have to have some banging stuff to show. First party wise, that's the big thing for everybody. Is first party wise why they get it, why they get invested into the quote unquote console war type conversation, because they want to be celebrating the games from Nintendo, from PlayStation, but we don't celebrate the Microsoft's one that much. Or in a year's time, the game gets completely ignored and they move on to rebooting the whole thing.
Like the DC universe.
Yep.
Yes, I was laughing when you were talking there. I wasn't laughing at you. What I just realized was what you were saying. If I boiled your entire point there about next Sunday into a short sentence, it would be, do the opposite of what PlayStation just did.
Yeah, we want to.
That is a rarity.
Me and Amy want to be. I want our socks blown off.
Are we going to be sitting in that sofa?
Yes.
I want to leap to my feet from that sofa at least once.
Oh, I want to roll off backwards somehow.
Because Amy's throwing him over the back of the sofa.
Of how excitement she is, yeah. Yeah, I want something that has to happen. And then my partner running upstairs saying, what the fuck's just happened?
No, Amy, where's Moody? Wait, is he on the street outside? Did you just throw him through the window?
And then she looks and said, "Oh, he looks fine. He's celebrating. Why is he celebrating? why is he pulling off why is he ripping off his clothes right now? Oh my God, he's gone nuts."
Yeah, I mean, they could have a big 6 months, like you get Forza out, you get Starfield out, maybe even get Hellblade out, and like all those things are bangers. It'll be a completely different narrative at the end of the year. But unfortunately, like, they biffed it again. And this isn't the first studio we've seen reports of this kind of nature from that Xbox own. I'm just adding them to the list. The pile that we've been
talked
building.
about it on multiple occasions.
But anyway.
It just seems to keep building and building and building and building, and
yes, and there are like now, because when we first noticed it, there was 2, and we were like, it's just 2. You know what I mean? Like 2 is a coincidence.
It's not great, but it's yeah.
2 is a coincidence. Now it's 4, and like there are starting to be like common threads that run through like all of the stories. Like Microsoft was 2 hands off. Like like even Phil himself said about Redfall, we should have stepped in sooner. Yeah. If you notice a problem, step in. Like in Jason's full article, someone said they hoped that Xbox would cancel Redfall. That's how bad it got on the development. Like when Microsoft bought ZeniMax, like people were hoping that they would cancel Redfall. Like people who were working on Redfall hoping they would cancel Redfall.
Yeah.
And I tried my best to give that game the benefit of the doubt, but even I couldn't do it before launch. And I'm the benefit of the doubt person. Like if you even give me the tiniest little
benefit,
I'm straight in there. But anyway, we'll do one more. Complete this link that I've built. We don't have time to do both. But I feel like we can complete a link by talking about The Last of Us multiplayer video game faces setbacks at Sony. This is from Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg, who's had a banger of a week, who writes, Sony Group has slowed down development on an upcoming multiplayer game in its long-running The Last of Us video game series as the creators reassess its quality and long-term viability, according to 4 people familiar with the project. The team working on the game was scaled back after a recent evaluation, said the people, who asked not to be named because they weren't authorized to speak publicly. A small group remains on the project while the company reevaluates the direction. While the game has not been cancelled, many of its developers have been moved to other projects. Following requests for comment from Bloomberg News, Naughty Dog, the Sony subsidiary working on the project, put out a statement on Twitter, another solemn .jpg, saying that, quote, "We've realised what's best for the game is to give it more time," end quote. Naughty Dog has been developing the multiplayer title for at least 4 years. It started as a complementary mode to The Last of Us Part 2, the single-player game released in 2020, but the creators grew ambitious and decided to make it into its own game, Naughty Dog said. Sony has invested heavily in games as a service or video games designed to be monetized beyond their initial sales through ongoing purchases. As part of that push, it asked another of its video game studios, Seattle-based Bungie, to evaluate the games across its portfolio. Bungie raised questions about the Last of Us multiplayer project's ability to keep players engaged for a long period of time, which led to the reassessment. I wasn't doing a flourish, I was just cracking my neck.
Mm-hmm. This ain't coming out until Last of Us Part 3 comes out.
I don't think this is ever coming out. I remember when we were streaming the PlayStation Showcase last week, and you were like, oh, what about Last of Us Factions? Last of Us Factions, or whatever it's called. And I said, I don't think it exists anymore.
I think it's going to be moved to Last of Us Part 3 as an attachment to that.
I don't think we'll ever see it. I think it's just going to quietly disappear, and no one's really going to think too much about it because Naughty Dog are going to announce Part 3 and whatever else they're working on at some point in the future, and everyone's just going to be like, hey, remember when Last of Us Part 2 was supposed to have multiplayer? And oh yeah, that was weird. Wonder whatever happened to that. And then that'll be the entire conversation. And it sucks. Like, people put a lot of work into this for multiple years. And at the very least, it's on the rocks right now. And that sucks for the people who have worked on it. But
again, goes into the thing of what we were talking about. Sorry for butting in. I apologize for that. Chasing trends, chasing fads, and everything like that. And I think what worked for the factions on Last of Us Part 1 is because it was a contained element of the game that was just what was surprisingly very good, kind of like Mass Effect 3's multiplayer was, and whatnot. And then they just automatically think, oh, we can monetize this into something even greater and everything like that. No, I think if you just just kept it as it is, improve upon the elements and add in some new things, and added to Mass Effect, Last of Us Part 2, I think there would have been even more greater and everything like for people in general. And this is a thing that's why I'm saying why I think now it's probably going to get just slowly worked on, and eventually they'll ramp up when it comes to Last of Us Part 3, and they'll add it to it. That's how I think. But I understand where you're coming from, where they just quietly
just leave it by the wayside, because Naughty Dog, they want Naughty Dog to be working on the things that's going to win them all the awards and make them fucking bazillions of dollars, which is whatever game they decide to make next.
That's the thing about it. Yeah, it's crazy to think that they would try and that the company Sony would try and make them to focus on doing two separate things and everything for this, because like we've just seen the Last of Us TV show, the transmedia that they've been able to do for that has given them incredible success. Again, that they're in everyone's mouths right now. When it comes to a product and right now, and everyone's excited to see what's their next single player experience. Is it The Last of Us Part 3, which we all know is coming, we just don't know when. And we all know there's rumors of it, like a new IP type of thing, which is it's exciting to hear, and which obviously was very disappointing that we didn't see anything of this type of thing in the PlayStation showcase and whatnot. So
we're in the live service era of PlayStation's 5's life,
which is very scary. It's like we talked about it in an episode, I think it was last year, about it and whatnot, and like it sounded like it was an interesting thing, but now with all of these things are going on and on and on, it just like it's very scary to think. And like we've always like questioned like what was the thing that made the last boss of PlayStation leave and Jim Ryan take over? It was probably Jim Ryan saying, multiplayer live service games, that's where all the money is. I don't know why I'm speaking like that. And then thingy moved on, who probably just saying, no, let's keep on doing the best single player games out there.
I think Sony could do it with diversifying its output. Like I've said this for a while, as much as I love God of War, Ragnarok, Last of Us Part 2, etc., like they all fall into broadly the same type of game. Like a lot of what PlayStation's first parties do in that sort of prestige AAA space is all the same type of game. So I've always thought like branch out, like different genres, different gameplay styles and stuff like that, and like make some live service games. If that's what your teams want to do, let them do it. Let them, because you're going to get a better game out of a team that wants to make a live service game versus a team that doesn't, like Redfall.
Agreed.
And it just, I don't know if I'm not worried, because I think PlayStation have got the head screwed on to the point where, other studios that are known for making incredible single player experiences are still going to be making those incredible single player experiences. I think the other thing to take into consideration as well is how long it takes to make games nowadays. Back in my day, you used to get a Final Fantasy every year. You know what I mean? Like, but now games are so much more complex, especially at that size, that like even the idea of a sequel to a video game coming out on the same console generation is starting to be like, that's not a thing. Like, like, you know what I mean? Like, we got a Mass Effect trilogy on one console generation. We probably will never see something like that ever happen again from any developer.
True.
And that's just a part of the way games are now. AAA games, like big, huge, expensive, complicated video games. And so like you've got to start making more games as a platform holder, to fill those gaps. And PlayStation has decided to make a bunch of live service games. We'll see how it goes, but right now, for the last couple of years, it hasn't gone well for anyone.
Yeah.
And again, it sucks that this happened, but to be honest, Moody, I was never going to play this. like it was cool as a thing when it was like a bolt on to The Last of Us Part 2 is like a thing that exists, but like I was never going to touch it. It's not, I'm not going to The Last of Us going, oh boy, I want to play a multiplayer game, version of it, like, no, I want to have my heart ripped out by the story. Again, I'm almost ready. I feel like I can 3 years later, I feel like I'm almost ready to experience it again.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. You have to stream, man. You know that, right?
It's going to fucking ruin me, man.
Dude, down here.
It's just me screaming.
Down here.
I'm doing down there.
Boo.
But yeah, we're at halftime. We're probably beyond halftime.
Yeah, I think we went past halftime.
But it's fine because we've got a quick indie game of the week, quick break, and then Moody's going to review a bunch of games. But I've played some of them, so I'm going to review them as well. But first, it's time for indie game of the week, which this week is a game called Bits and Bops. I played a game demo, and it was delightful. It was delightful, Moody. I'm watching. Okay, come back. God, you talk about one indie game, Mr. AAA over here, and he just fucking does a runner. Like, yeah, what a fucking Mr. AAA game guy over here. Oh, you're not talking about The Last of Us anymore? Bye. You didn't take your headphones off this time, so I got to drag you when you could hear me. That was fun. Wow. This week's indie game of the week is Bits and Bops. It's like a rhythm mini game. It's got a really cool cartoon art style, and it's just like, it's very cartoon-esque. And in the demo, there were 3 levels, and the final game is just going to have a bunch of mini games that are all rhythm based. So one of the ones I played was, there's a seal. You've got a camera. You're on a boat. And there's like a seal, and it comes out of the water, and it hits the ball, like seals do. And it does it to rhythm. So like the whole point is you push the button when it jumps out, and you get it at the right moment, so you get the seal hitting the ball. And it's just, you do it to the bop of the song, hence the name Bits and Bops. And like weird stuff happens to try and put you off. So like you'll be on this boat, and the seal comes out, and then this cat eating a hot dog with sunglasses on will slowly start like floating across on one of those floaty rings, like, and obviously it gets you in, and it's fun. It was fun. I don't know how long I could play a game like that for, but I feel like you could have a laugh with it if there's a bunch of people, and you like trying to get everybody's trying to see how high they can get the score. You know what I mean? Like the good old days of couch co-op multiplayer. Everyone takes a turn trying to do the silly thing on the silly thing, and it's a good funny laugh.
Cool.
The hammer one was funny, though. There was one where it was like a diagram of like building, like an IKEA diagram of like putting together a cabinet.
Yeah.
And literally, it's like hammering nails. So you push the hammer to the time to hit the nails. But like the ways it would put you off is like a cat would lie down on on the instructions. And you'd be like, "Fuck's sake!" I can't say it's not realistic, but
that's fair.
But it was good. It's nice and charming. It's called Bits and Bops. It's being developed and published by Tempo Lab Games. It's coming TBA to PC. And there's a link to it in the description of the podcast. Go wishlist it. Maybe even go check out the demo. I got through all 3 levels in 9 minutes, and then I played a couple more, another again.
Sweet. That sounds awesome. Like you said, wishlist the game. Trust me, the developers very much love to see that and everything because it gives them the big old cozy feeling.
Yeah, man. We need to normalize telling people we like the things that they do.
Or excited for the things, you know.
Or excited for the things that they do.
Yeah.
And it's off time, so I'm going to go and get a drink.
So am I.
And then we're going to talk about video games.
Hey!
Guess what, mate?
What, you mean?
It's time for reviewing some games.
Yes, it is.
Secretly, Moody's time to shine.
Secretly, Moody's time to shine indeed.
I've put these in a specific order of game we've both played, game you've played, game we've both played. Nice little... Oh. It's that balance you were always complaining about.
Yeah.
Before I just got annoyed and gave you control of everything.
So you want to start with Planet of Lana?
I want to start with Planet of Lana.
Good, okay.
Well, you don't anymore because you're not on Twitter, but I have a Twitter mutual who worked on this, so doing the disclosure thing.
Okay. I am sorry in advance, Sammy's friend.
Oh no! I don't want to start with this anymore. No, what have I done?
I've even titled this, Sammy. I've titled all of them. Very interesting.
Should I reopen the blog section of Words About Games? I think you can just post written reviews on it.
I have done written reviews. All 3 of them were written into a certain way.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you just let me go, and then you can come in.
No, what I'm going to do is when you say something I disagree with, I'll do a Phoenix Wright. And I'll just go, objection!
Objection! And I'll just keep on talking. Okay.
I can mute you, you know that,
right? I know. Not from next week, can't.
No, I can meet you, just in a different way.
Planet of Lana, a visual stunning journey with a few missteps. Planet of Lana is, for me, a visually captivating game that immerses players in a beautiful hand-drawn world filled with intriguing landscapes and charming characters. With its unique art style and atmospheric soundtrack, it manages to create an immersive experience that holds great promise. However, while the game succeeds in certain aspects, it falls short in others, resulting in a somewhat mixed experience. One of the standout features of Planet Lana is the breathtaking art direction, the hand-drawn visuals that are absolutely stunning, with vibrant colors, interactive with great detail and a sense of depth that brings the world to life. The game's environments are diverse and imaginative, taking players on a visually enchanting journey from lush forests to desolated wastelands. Each scene feels like a work of art, and the attention to details is commendable. The emotional storytelling is another strong aspect of the game. The relationship between the protagonist Lana and her loyal companion, a small creature named Mayu, I think it's called, is heartwarming and forms an emotional core of the narrative. The game effectively conveys its story through minimal dialogue and relies heavily on visual storytelling, allowing players to interpret and connect with the events unfolding on screen. The gameplay mechanics in Planet of Lana are simple but effective. As Lana, you solve puzzles, navigate in platforms, and interact with the environment to progress through the game. The puzzles are well designed, providing a decent level of challenge without becoming overly frustrating. Apart from a text I get from Amy, the platforming sections flow smoothly and the controls are responsive, making exploring enjoyable. However, despite its strengths, Planet of Lana has a few notable weaknesses that prevent it from reaching its full potential. The game's pacing feels uneven at times, with certain sections dragging while others seem rushed. This can disrupt the overall flow and impact of the immersion factor. Additionally, the lack of variety in gameplay mechanics can make the experience feel somewhat repetitive. While the puzzles are well crafted, they become predictable after a while, and the platforming elements, while solid, could benefit with a more innovation and complexity to keep players engaged throughout the entire journey. Furthermore, the narrative, although emotionally resonates, feels somewhat underdeveloped. Certain story elements are left unexplored, leaving players with unanswered questions and a sense of missed opportunities. This can be disappointing for those who crave a deeper and more interactive narrative experience. In conclusion, Planet of Lana is an undeniably beautiful game that excels in its art direction and emotional storytelling. The hand-drawn visuals and heartwarming relationship between Lana and Mew create a memorable experience. However, the game's pacing issues, lack of gameplay variety, and underdeveloped narrative prevent it from achieving greatness. Despite its flaws, Planet of Lana remains an enjoyable journey, worth embarking on for fans of an atmospheric adventure. There we go.
For video watchers of this podcast, funny Easter egg. I didn't say objection, but I did mouth it whenever I had an objection.
What was your objection?
Have fun going back and seeing where I objected to things really said. Surprisingly, not that many times.
Thank you.
It was nicely written little review. You've just given me a great idea for how we can do these going forward, but we'll talk later. So Planet of Lana. So I'm getting the overall feeling that you enjoyed it, with a few misgivings.
Yes, no doubt about that. Yes.
I mean, me too.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I did not object to that part. I was like, yeah, no, like, I'll knock this out on Sunday afternoon. Like 2 sittings because I had a break because I went to eat. Because every time I don't eat, I hear this moody voice in the back of my head for some reason going, well, you haven't eaten yet. Lockdown was rough, guys. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, no, like, so Planet of Lana for me was something I was really looking forward to. Like, and I feel like I went in mostly with knowing what I was gonna get. Like, you know, I hate to compare games to other games, but like, you know, if you've played Inside, for example, this is in a similar sort of vein. So Planet of Lana was a game I really liked quite a lot. For a lot of the same reasons you did. I thought the art style was tremendous. I liked the music. I thought the music was a bit Star Warsy. Give me like little 1970s, 1980s Star Wars vibes, like
bit of John Williams back there.
Bit of John Williams inspiration there. I see you, composers. I see you. But no, it was good. The story for me was fine. Like, it was funny. You spend the entire game trying to find some people. Let's say that. And I didn't give a fuck about those people.
That was the thing that is the weak part of it. Like, I connected with like Lana and Mew.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mew, that little dude that you get in the game, I would die for Mew.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah,
like, oh my god,
it's very well done when it comes to their relationship and everything. And but yeah, the other aspects of it, that's
like the rest of the story was like, it was fun as like it was good enough for me for like the driving force of like, you know, hey, going from place to place to place to place to place. And some of the mysteries were quite interesting to sort of unravel. I think part of the issue was I'd pretty much figured out what was going on before it happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For the most part. So like, and I'm never one person who's like, I have to be surprised or this is bad, but it was just like a case of, oh, it's exactly what I thought it was. Cool, that's fine. But like every time I could interact with Mimi, like, you can pet Mimi whenever you want.
Yeah.
And so like every time I did a section where I had like, because you can like guide him around and stuff, tell him to stand here, do this, pull this, and every time we got to the end of a section, I'd turn around and I'd be like, hey, well done, little guy. Teamwork. So I must have petted Mimi about 100 times.
Probably, yeah. And that's without completing the levels.
oh yeah. Like when the game was first like, hey, you can do this, I did just sit there for a while, just like. And then another point in the game, I did the same thing for a good minute or two.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil that part though. But yeah, no, it's like for me the narrative as opposed to the story that was being told was like just kind of okay. And like I'm with you in terms of like the puzzle complexity. Like it was fine that it never got more complex. Like you kind of learn everything you could do apart from when you unlock a couple of abilities, but like as you go on, but you kind of learn most of the interactions that you can have with the levels in terms of puzzle solving quite early on. And then they don't add too much to that.
Yeah.
As the game goes on. And what happens there is the puzzles just end up getting longer. And without adding too much more to it to make them more interesting or like more satisfying to engage with. So the further into the game I started going, I was just like, this is really long.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a whole other bit to this puzzle. And then like there was puzzles towards the end. Like I texted Moody about some flying thing, and I was just like, I can't fucking deal with this shit. It was so frustrating because the control to it, I didn't think the controls were very good for that part. And there was another puzzle involving fans, which is all I'm going to say, which I wanted to rip all of my hair out and then go next door and rip all of my neighbor's hair out of sheer frustration at like doing it. But for the most part, it was fine. And I was happy just to hang out with Lana and Moody and look at all of the cool, because like each level, each area was very visually distinct, and it was cool to visit each one. And I liked to see where I was going next.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy the water stuff, like the puzzles involving water. But they kind of came and then went. And that was a shame because they were like quite interesting. Where it was like having to manage things like a raft because maybe we won't go in the water. It's adorable.
It's Ellie all over again.
Yeah. Ellie but in 2D.
That's the mechanic that they thought was going to become a trend.
And she doesn't talk back. It's great. But no, like there's some set pieces which are fantastic. There's an entire level which was in one of the trailers for the game, which is an entire level which kind of like breaks up the whole puzzle solving aspect of it. Where I was like, this is cool. This is cool. I need developers to cool it on button mashing QTEs though. There was a sequence of QTEs that went way too long, and you had to mash the buttons for way too long. And by the time I was worried I was gonna fail because I couldn't hold the controller properly anymore.
Yeah,
because of how much I was mashing the buttons.
Yeah.
But by and large, like any frustrations I had were outweighed by the fact that I enjoyed the experience of playing this game.
Yeah.
Some of the not the set pieces. The moments where it was like the camera pulls out and there's music and you're just going from place to place. I was like, this is fucking great.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, that when you see that, when the pros outweigh the cons, there's no doubt about it. But when the pros shine, they really do shine, and it's really well done when it comes to that.
And yeah, what you said at the beginning of your written review, which was very nice, by the way, was promise. Like, and I agree. I think this is a great. I don't know if this is their first game. Like, this is the thing. I want to say this was a great first step into the next game. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I enjoyed Planet of Lana enough that
you want to see what they do next.
I want to see what they do next. Like, when it comes up from the developers of Planet of Lana at whatever conference or trailer or whatever, I'm going to be like, cool, I remember that. Keep that on my wish list.
Yeah, definitely. There's no doubt about it. Like, it is a thumbs up game for me. Like, if you've got Game Pass, give it a go. Well, yeah, you'll have a great time, I think.
I know I'm springing this on you, sort of, but we the last time we reviewed games, we did contemplate doing a 5-star system. Would you like to do a 5-star system?
If you want to do a 5-star system, I will do a 5-star system.
No half stars, though. We're not cowards.
Yeah.
You can go first.
Okay, so I just want to know what's it. So obviously 1, 2,
one
negative.
Bad.
1's negative.
2, not great. 3, okay. 4, good. 5, excellent.
Yeah.
Or synonyms thereof.
Yeah, okay. This is a 3 out of 5.
I agree. That's what I would give it as well. 3 out of 5.
A 3 out of 5. Easily a 3 out of 5. Game. It does everything you needed to do, and yeah.
I'm happy I played it. I would also have been happy if I bought it. I would if I'd have bought it and downloaded it and played it, I still would have been like, I'm happy I did that.
Yeah. No doubt about it. I agree. It
was a fun way to spend an afternoon.
Sweet.
Now, this is where Moody gets to talk about a game and I can't interrupt him and don't look for any Easter eggs because I haven't played it. Take it away.
Like a Dragon Ishin, a historical epic that transports players to feudal Japan. Like a Dragon Ishin is an absolute triumph, seamlessly blending the beloved Yakuza gameplay formula with a captivating historic setting. Ryuga Gotoku Studio. I know I fucked that up.
Ryuga Gotoku.
Thank you. Has once again outdone themselves, delivering an immersive experience that transports players to an intriguing era of the Bakumasu period in Japan. One of the game's most impressive aspects is its attention to detail and historical accuracy. The crafted city of Kyoto braves life into this pivotal time in Japanese history, from the bustling streets of an authentic architecture to the characters' costumes and mannerisms. Every aspect of Ishin immerses players in the feudal world like never before. The narrative of Ishin is both engaging and educational, playing as the legendary Samakoto Ryumi. I so fucked that up, but I apologize for that. Players are taken on a thrilling journey through political upheaval and social unrest. The game brilliantly weaves historical events and figures into the storyline, creating a rich and intriguing and drama Let me try that again. Creating a rich tapestry of intrigue and drama. The writing is top-notch and with compelling dialogue and well-developed characters that bring the era to life. The combat retains the series' signature brawling mechanics, but is enhanced with a touch of samurai flair. The additions of swords and other period-appropriate weapons adds depth and variety to the gameplay, making each encounter a thrilling and visually stunning spectacle. The combat system strikes an excellent balance between accessible and strategic, allowing players to approach battles in their preferred style. Beyond the main storyline, Ishin offers a plethora of side activities and mini-games that provide countless of hours and entertainment. Whether it's participating in traditional Japanese games, managing a dojo, and deluding in authentic tea ceremonies, there is no shortage of engaging the divisions. These activities do not only serve as enjoyable distractions, but also provide valuable insights into the culture and customs of the time. Graphically, Ishin is a visual feast. The attention to detail of the city design, characters, models, and environment elements is astonishing, combined with why did I write that word?
I was going to say, you wrote this, right?
I know. It sounded smart when I said it. A mechanically crafted sound design and a stirring musical score, the game crafts a sensory experience that truly immerses players in the world of Bakumasu Japan. Like a Dragon Ishin is an an explicit addition to the Accuser series. It seamlessly combines historical accuracy, engaging storytelling, addictive gameplay, and a captivating setting. Whether you are a long-time fan of the series or a newcomer to the world of Yakuza, this game is a must-play for anyone seeking an unforgettable game experience. Prepare to be enthralled as you step back in time and become one of Japan's most exciting eras.
To be fair to writing tongue twisters into things that you're going to read aloud, in the Zelda video that I published, I wrote the phrase cartographically challenged. There were a lot of takes of that sentence that contained that phrase. Let's just say that.
Thank you.
Like, sometimes you write things and it's exactly what you need to write, and then you've got to say it out loud, and holy shit, you fuck yourself. But yeah, no, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I think, on the podcast. You're about halfway through the game, so it's cool to know that you still love it. That's awesome. I can't believe you've played a Yakuza game and I haven't. That's mental.
It's really weird, especially as the one who got me into them. Thank you for that.
It's what I do. It's what I do.
It's what I do.
And also, shout out to Keith.
Another one bites the dust.
and now I'm coming for the rest of you. Shout out to Keith for the Ishin from Fantasy Critic podcast. He'll be very happy to know that we continue the tradition here.
I have to honor him somehow. Allegedly, Keith.
Allegedly. No, I'm glad you loved it. Did anything change, like, between the first time you talked about the game and then the second time you talked about the game? Like, were there things did you love it more? Were there things that sort of, oh, this is starting to stretch a bit? Like, I'm just curious.
I got more and more invested with the characters. But one thing happens, and I literally audibly went, "Oh no!" I couldn't believe I did. I was saying, "Oh no!" And I was like, "You bitch!" And then further the story, and I was like, "All right, I like you again." But either way,
that's cool. No, that's cool. It's always good when deeper into a story, you get more invested in the characters.
Yeah,
and what's happening, I guess.
Yeah, there's no doubt about, like, even though what I've written there didn't really put in any flaws into the game, it still has the flaws of what like a Yakuza type game can be. Like, the amount of times I just wanted to not fight and just get to where I wanted to get to, and yet always had to fight, got really irritating sometimes.
Thugs. Oh man.
Yeah, something like that. I'm just like, fine, if you just want to die, fine, I will happily please you, but trust me, you could just leave me alone and you will survive. But no, it has that type of thing. Is it like at the beginning of the game, it was very slow paced, like I said at the beginning. 3 weeks ago, after we reviewed Star Wars and everything, it's a typical Yakuza game for that. So if you know what you're going into, there's no doubt about it, you'll absolutely love it. Like I said in my first thoughts of it a couple of weeks ago, I felt like I was literally in Japan. That's how great it was. I love the Asian culture. I love Japanese heritage and everything like that. For like one of my favorite films is literally Tom Cruise's The Last Samurai, and it's not because of Tom Cruise. It's literally because all of the sucking freaking samurais in that game, in that film, and everything. I'm literally watching The Age of Samurai that's on Netflix right now with my partner, and it's fucking badass. We're learning more about their history and everything, and it's bloody brilliant. I'm just like, yeah. Just watching that. I haven't finished it yet. Watching those and thinking of like Last Samurai just made me get more and more enthusiastic for this game and the story and the characters. It's just, I absolutely adored this game, Amy. If you want to know what it is on the rating, it's 5 out of fucking 5. I'm gonna say that, as there's no half things here or anything like that. It's a 5 out of 5. I absolutely love this game. It's great. I implore anyone to play it, even if you haven't played the Yakuza games before. Play this one. I think you'll have a lot of fun. It's just the only really massive disappointing for me of this game is that there's no English dub or anything like that. It's all in Japanese.
Yeah,
just for me, it's all voiced over and everything. It's very well done. But it's like, I don't speak Japanese. I don't know what you're saying, type of thing. So when I'm reading and everything like that just because of my ADHD and everything, that kind of did suck me out sometimes, just because I can lose attention really easy because of that. That's why I always prefer every game to have a voice dialogue in it and everything.
Yeah,
but
I only have subtitles on when I'm streaming because when I'm here, just sitting here playing, no. Because I end up just reading the subtitles and missing everything else that's happening on the screen. Because if I don't, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like because the subtitles keep flashing at the bottom of the screen. I would keep just getting distracted by them anyway.
Yeah.
But no, that's awesome. And 5 obviously, but that's cool. It's on my pile to get to by the end of the year. And if I don't, I'll get to it in the future.
That's true.
Games don't go bad.
The cross thing is, like, right now, we still technically have another Yakuza game coming this year.
In theory.
In theory. Will it actually happen? We don't know. I think we'll hear something at the Japanese showcase.
There's a Rio Gekitoko showcase happening 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
So
we'll have to keep an eye on that. See what at least gets announced, because we won't understand anything of what they're saying.
Well, they'll have translators. It'll be like that Silent Hill thing.
Oh, yeah, true.
But, cool. Awesome. I look forward to being able to contribute more of my own thoughts to this, or maybe not. Hopefully. Who knows?
Fabulous. Well, I guess it's time to move on to the final game. And for us to go boldly, Amy.
We finally get to talk about Star Trek legitimately on the podcast.
In a game, yeah.
You'll notice we didn't do it in the intro. It's because we're doing it here.
Yeah. Apologies for next week, because we would have rewatched probably Picard Season 3 by then. You get over it, guys, okay? Star Trek Resurgence but boldly ventures into new territories. Star Trek Resurgence takes fans on an exhilarating journey through the final frontier, offering an immersive and enjoyable gaming experience for Star Trek enthusiasts. This latest addition to the franchise brings fresh ideas and captivating storytelling, making it a must-play for any Trekkie. One of the highlights of Star Trek Resurgence is an engaging narrative. The game presents an original and compelling story that remains true to the spirit of Star Trek. Players are thrusted into a captivating plot filled with intriguing twists, morale, dilemmas, and memorable characters. The writing shines through with its well-crafted dialogue and thought-provoking themes, truly capturing the essence of the beloved franchise. The game's graphics and visuals are a treat for the eyes, from the great detailed ships to the beautiful rendered alien worlds. The developers have paid attention to the aesthetics. The attention to detail creates an immersive environment that allows players to truly feel like they are exploring the depths of space alongside their favorite Star Trek characters. The gameplay mechanics in Star Trek Resurgence strikes a good balance between exploring, combat, and decision making. Whether you're engaging in an epic space battles or beaming down to uncharted planets, the gameplay offers a diverse range of experiences. However, it's important to address the performance issues I experienced on the Xbox Series X version of the game. I have noticed some players have reported occasionally frame rate drops and glitches that can hinder their overall experience. I myself suffered with audio issues in the third act, texture pop-ins, and graphical flickers from time to time, which did hurt the visual designs of the game. While these technical shortcomings for myself did not affect me overall, it is very unfortunate that to see this was happening. They were not significant enough to overshadow my experience and my positive aspect. Overall, Star Trek Resurgence is a triumph for fans of the franchise. With its captivating storyline, stunning visuals when not glitching, and engaging gameplay, it successfully takes players on an unforgettable journey through the Star Trek universe. Despite the performance issues encountered on Star Trek on Xbox Series X, the game remains a worthy addition to Trekkie's collection, and it's sure to leave players yawning for more adventures to the final frontier. Yearning for.
I normally don't correct you unless you say something that alters the sentence that you just said.
That's fine.
Yeah. It's a good game. You'll be yawning a lot, but it's a good game. What I've just realized over the last 20 minutes is it helps me to really pay attention to what you're saying if I'm mouthing objection to everything that I disagree with.
Well, I'm intrigued. Go on.
And it adds an air of mystery because you know that you don't know what I've disagreed with. So I need being straight with you for once. I've only played about half of this game.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. And the straight thing wasn't I'm always lying. It was this thing. It was a joke. But yeah, so I've only played about half of this game. So that's where my opinions are coming from. So I'm with you on the story. I'm enjoying the story. I haven't seen the culmination of a lot of twists. Yeah, you know what I mean? I think I've probably just hit the end of an act.
I think you've basically hit the end of Act 1.
Yeah, I feel like I've just hit the end of an act because I'm like, oh, a lot of twists have happened and now I get to see what happens next. But the intrigue is good. Like the intrigue that they set up is very good. Like there's a situation, it's not what you think it is, and then some stuff happens. I like the characters for the most part. Like there's a lot of them. So even in my experience of just playing the first half of the game, like apart from the 2 playable characters, which is Commander what's her face and Carter, the engineer guy, the engineer boy. You don't get a ton of screen time with most of the other characters, at least not yet. But you get enough to really get a sense of them. And then there's a lot of group scenes, which is a classic Star Trek thing. People sitting around a conference table, being all like, "Oh shit, what the fuck do we do now?" And then everybody disagreeing. And then Ambassador Spock's there, which I thought I would hate. I thought I was really going to hate the fact that Spock was in the game, but they've used him really well so far. So that's a positive for me. But I don't want to labor too much on the story because I haven't finished it. The place where I disagree with you, it's the gameplay. I hate it. Like, when you do things in this game, I'm bored. Like, I'm so bored.
Yeah.
Like, some stuff works. Like, there is big variety of different things that you do in Classic. Because this is a game created by Dramatic Labs, which are a group of developers made up of people who made Telltale games the first time. So, and this is very much in the same vein. So every now and again, you pull a lever and you fly a shuttle and you phaser some people. And, like, some of it's fine. And then some of it, there's layers from fine to boring to frustrating to so bad I laughed out loud. There's only one of those. I'll be interested to see if you can figure out what it is. But yeah, no, like flying the shuttle was fine. Something like the transporter thing. There's a thing where you have to like calibrate a transporter and stuff, and there's like wavy lines and a bar that fills out. And I was stuck for like 10 minutes because I couldn't figure out what the game was asking me to do, and I was ready to fucking suplex my television. I hate that fucking bit so much. And then they go, "Now do it again." And I was like, fuck you. There's like a stealth section. I'm using examples. I'm not going to list every single gameplay thing. Like there's a stealth section. I was just put out of my fucking gourd doing and like some of the gameplay sections like feel really stretched out, and I'm just like I'm dying just to get to the next bit, you know. And like see the next part of the story, character interactions, do some dialogue choices where the game shines for me. And it just never came. There were certain sections where it just never came, and I was like, please, no, don't make me scan anything with this stupid fucking tricorder again.
Yeah.
Why did they design the tricorder so you fucking use it like this? I don't understand.
No, I understand where you're coming from completely with that. That's why I always say I think it strikes a good balance. I don't think it strikes the best balance or even a great balance or anything like that. It strikes just a good balance for me. Like, I've completed the game and everything like that. You have not yet, and everything in it. It does get better. There are parts of the combat, not the combat, the gameplay did annoy me. I agree. The tricorder thing is fucking annoying. I completely agree with you there.
You just dinged on the word. The one that was so bad it made me laugh was when I had to fight a phaser for the first time. I was cackling at how bad that is. The aiming, I couldn't aim at shit.
It's not great. Yeah, it's not. It isn't great. There's no doubt about it. But I think other things like balance it out, made me go, it's at least good overall. It could be improved. If they do a sequel or do something else they want to do with Star Trek, I would hope they do improve that. There's no doubt about it. The combat isn't the greatest, and you're coming up to a part where combat things are going to be happening a lot.
I know. I'm worried. What I'm really worried about is because I'm so enjoying the story and the characters and the dialogue and the talking, that what I'm really worried about is because this is also heavily a choice-based game. You make choices, things happen. Me and Moody diverged most of the major choices, as we found out.
Which is amazing.
And I'm only halfway through the game. But like, what I'm really worried about is I'm going to lose that element because I'm just going to get so frustrated with something that the game is going to ask me to do that I'm going to watch it on YouTube, and that's going to rob me of like a whole section of the game. Like right now, I'm in a position where the gameplay is tolerable enough that like it gets me to the next part, and then I'm like, yeah, back in it, yeah, I'm doing something, and like again, some of it's fine. Like the shuttle flying was fine. I'm only remembering that because that was literally like the last thing I did. In the game so far, And I'm just hoping I'm not going to end up like walking away from the game going, that was frustrating. Because right now I'm like, this is cool. Yeah. I'm in Star Trek. It's not an action game. This is amazing. I never thought this would ever happen.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think there's no doubt. Like, I think I worded things very precisely when it came to this type of game for who this game is for.
Star Trek fans.
Star Trek fans. There's no doubt about it. What you and me are, we're both Star Trek fans, massive Star Trek fans. And I've been screaming for. Yeah, we've been. I think it's fair to say both of us have been screaming for a narrative-driven Star Trek game out there that we can do this type of thing with, and it's finally landed at long last, and I'm really happy for myself that they did nail it. They landed the ship.
Landed the shuttle though.
They landed the shuttle. They landed it nice and well to give me an experience where I'm just like, that was a really good experience. I had a lot of fun with it. I really connected with characters, especially the two main characters and everything. They were really fun to play as. I really liked what they did with the commander character.
Because I was about to say, like, just because I couldn't remember her name, I am actually really enjoying playing as her.
Yeah. But I'm terrible at remembering names in general. People may not believe that of me, but I am terrible at remembering the name. Yeah, the commander character. And she's like really good. And I like the thing that they've put in with her character because she's a Kobliat. A Kobliat. And that that character needs to get an
injection of Geridium.
An injection.
I've literally just played the game like an hour ago, 2 hours ago. So I remember all this, but I can't remember anything.
Yeah, I know it's really annoying. But I like that element to it. I think it's really it just raises her up.
It's
even
interesting.
More.
Like, sorry to butt in. It's just because it's something I just remembered. I wanted to say it's really it does take some interesting looks at things in the Star Trek universe. Like, this is definitely a game for Star Trek fans. In fact, so much so I'm going to give it 2 ratings at the end of this. But like things like, and this is like super Star Trek nerd time, but like things like there's a Trill character and she has some really interesting things to say about Trill society. And I was like, actually, you know what? I never thought of it like that. because one of my favorite characters in Deep Space Nine is a Trill, so I never had to think about that. But I'm like, fair enough, that's cool. And there's a couple of moments like that, and like I like the way it casts you in the role of a Starfleet officer, but also like pushes you, because like this game is for fans who have watched a lot of Star Trek. So you have like a set idea in your head of like, this is the kind of person I would be in Starfleet, and the game asks you, but is it though?
Yeah,
and it puts you in situations
they give you
where you
multiple different answers where it could go in different directions, which I think is really good.
Yeah, it puts you in situations which really tests that in really interesting ways. Like the other thing I was kind of concerned about going into this game was that they were going to really lean into the Walking Dead style of choice, of like making choices, which is like everything is always up here all the time, which The Walking Dead nailed. The Telltale Walking Dead game nailed. Like, it was perfect for that game. But in a Star Trek game, it's like not everything can always be all the way up here. Like, and they didn't. Like, there's choices that you make that are. I just did one, and it was horrible. But like, there are others where it's just like it's smaller or it's like subtler. You know what I mean? And it explores Star Trek in an interesting way, and the interactivity of being characters in this story helps.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Like, I've had no problem with the Telltale type of gameplay that they brought, which is clearly influenced for this game. That they brought over from like The Walking Dead and everything. I've never had a problem with that. So that's why I think is it maybe fair to say I'm probably maybe being a little bit lenient on the gameplay, but at the same time, I just had fun. I was literally like, I'm fucking in Star. I am literally a person in Star Trek right now. Fuck yes, at last, finally give me what I've been wanting. And they did. Is it a home run? No, it isn't a home run. But it does everything that I wanted to do. And yes, there's mishaps. Like, I had graphical issues throughout the game.
Yeah, I was going to say bugs. Yes.
Yes, massively bugged.
Yeah, big style.
The game needed at least another month. It should have been. If I was them, I would have delayed it.
I have. So yes, to the audio, it crackles sometimes.
That
it's
happened.
Very strange.
Yeah, that's when it happened, but it only happened when the third act for me.
Okay, well, I'm getting it in the second act or the first act or wherever the fuck I am. Audio mixing's weird, where sometimes the music or the sound effects will overtake characters talking.
Yeah.
I've had the graphics just look very blurry. Like sometimes even the fucking button prompts and the key keys are blurry. And I'm like, it's a good job I can figure out what that's supposed to be. I take issue with all of the characters walking around like this. It starts looking a bit ridiculous. They've all got their arms out like that. And I'm like, okay. This is interesting. And I love being in the Star Trek universe, but a lot of the environments feel flat. That's not a bug. That's just an artistic critique, but not a strong one. I'm not like, this sucks. I'm just like, it's a little bit, you could do a little bit more to like make this feel alive. You know what I mean? But they did enough to make it go, I'm on a Star Trek ship. Yeah. Want me to sit in the captain's chair? Fucking two rights. I'm going to sit in the captain's chair. And then you get to decide what you're going to say.
Hell yeah.
And I said engage because I was like, I like the classics.
So did I. I won't lie. The other two options, I was like, I don't like those two options.
Make way? What the fuck? What the fuck?
What's make way?
Make way. Make way. Make way. I can't even remember what the other one was. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm ready to pass verdict on it. But mine's are in progress rating.
You go first.
So if you're a Star Trek fan, it's a three stars. If you're not a Star Trek fan, it's a 2 stars.
If you're a Star Trek fan, it's a 4 out of 5. If you're not a Star Trek fan, it's a 3 out of 5.
I feel like I wanted to give that caveat of just like, it's a 3 for me. But if I gave this to someone who wasn't a Star Trek fan, I feel like they'd probably not talk to me for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Basically, yeah. There's no doubt about it. This is a game is literally made for one set of people and one set of people only. And if that and those people, I'm probably absolutely loving this game. So it's giving me what I wanted. And I hope I hope to see more of this. I really do. Yes, make the gameplay, make the balance not just a good balance, a great balance, and everything like that. Make the combat better. Make
Again,
the freaking.
It's like we mentioned about Planet of Lana. Again, it's like it's a first game from a new studio.
Yeah.
So it's like it's one of those things where it's like whether they tackle Star Trek again, or whether they move on to their own IP or another franchise. I'll be like, okay, let's see what you got. Let's see what you got for your next one. Like, I'm interested.
This is their Mass Effect 1.
That would be amazing if this was their Mass Effect 1. I can't wait to see what we would get next from Star Trek. But like they've got me, like the storytelling and the writing and the characters and the choices were all really well done so far.
Yeah.
So I will be back to give a quick 5-minute summary of if anything has changed by the time I finish this game after E3. And that's it. Moody reviews all the games. Is that what it's like to be you on most podcasts when I'm reviewing games?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So when doing that from now on, right?
What if I'm reviewing a game?
No, if either of us are reviewing a game, just write a quick little review, a few minutes long, read it out, and then we'll have a discussion about it.
Fine. Yeah, that sounds good.
You've given. You give. I create the podcast, and then you refine it. I feel like that's been our relationship for the last few years.
Oh God! Yeah. Oh God.
You either annoy me into doing something, or you do something like completely offhandedly, and I go, "That was cool. Let's do it again." Sometimes
do it again.
Both
do it again. Do it again.
Same time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I know. I just not realized like. Doing it like the way like you giving a review and everything and me asking questions, it bores me. I'm not gonna lie, my attention is not fully there and everything. But if I've like written something, I can you write something and everything. I think I might pay it.
Yeah, no, because also like if I write something about whatever game I end up playing, you know what I mean. Yeah. At least then you've got things to pick out and go, oh, you said this, that was interesting. Oh, that like tell me more about this thing you just said. It's good, it works. But let's talk about what's happening next week. Now, to address the elephant in the room, E3 is starting next week. We're going to do a full run. We're going to do a full rundown in the next podcast, and when we talk about not just what's happening, but what we think about it, because that's what this podcast is. So I'm skipping giving you all of the information about it. There's a lot of conferences and showcases. As far as games are concerned, I've noted two that I'm excited for or interested in. The first one is Amnesia the Bunker, which is coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and PC on June 6th, and that's coming to Game Pass. Probably won't play it until after I get back, but hey-ho. And the second one is Mask of the Rose, coming to Switch and PC on June 8th, which I played a demo of and talked about with Moody, and I was like, this game's fucking amazing. That was my exact words. I did, yeah. It was one of the most anticipated games podcasts we did probably last year, when it was supposed to come out last year, and I was like, it's fucking amazing.
Sweetness.
Yeah. And Amnesia the Bunker, they reinvent themselves with every sequel, which I think is fascinating. In this one, you're stuck in a bunker in World War One, and it's just you, and there's a monster hunting you, and it's scared of the light, and it works like the xenomorph from Alien Isolation, where it's literally hunting you. So
that's terrifying.
Like if you make a noise to like break a door open, it'll hear the noise.
It's coming for you.
Yeah. And I'm just like, fuck yeah, get me on that on Twitch. I think that would be an incredible stream.
Damn it, that's a game. It's on Game Pass. Turn the lights off?
No. No. Like, it was my favorite mechanic in Alien Isolation was how the xenomorph worked.
The xenomorph was incredible.
And like, we've never had anything like that again. And so they've put it in this smaller space, and it's the primary focus, and you've got to escape. And it's immersive sandbox type game where it's like, you just have to escape, and there's multiple ways you can do it. And it's completely non-linear in terms of like the things that you find. So the direction that you take to escape, and it just sounds fucking cool. Unfortunately,
cool.
also terrifying.
All right, we won't turn the light off.
I don't want to do it. It'll just be me sitting there going, I don't know. And it'll be like, there's a locked door I need to get through, and I'll have the gun pointed at the handle to blow it off, and I'll be like, and you'll just be going, do it. I don't want to do it.
Do it, Amy. Do it. And then eventually you just hit me with my own controller.
Probably out of fright. Smack.
I won't give you my elite one because that's heavy.
I don't know if I'm gonna need the extra buttons. Then. Yeah. We'll see. We'll do a quick indie game of the week. No, we've done that. We'll do a quick OpenCritic head-to-head to close out the podcast. This is the game we play every week where we try to guess the OpenCritic average of upcoming games. Whoever guesses closest to the score gets a point. If you manage to guess the score correctly, you get 2 points. We've got 3 scores to go through here. 2 weeks ago, we tried to guess the OpenCritic average of Convergence, a League of Legends story, and it didn't have any... Well, it had reviews, but it didn't have a score on OpenCritic for some reason last week. But it does this week. I guessed it would get a 71. Moody guessed it would get a 73. At the time of recording, it has an 81. It's pretty much where I thought it was when I tried to do the quick maths in my head of the reviews.
You did like. So respect to you, though.
Let it go. That was just rudimentary mathematical skills.
Yeah.
And you know I don't have very many of those from when we played Escape Academy together.
That is true.
But that gives Moody the point. 2 games we tried to guess last week. The first one was System Shock. I guessed it would get an 84. Moody guessed it would get a 79. And at the time of recording, System Shock has an OpenCritic average of 75, which gives Moody another point. Lastly,
it only gives me 5 points on bloody on Fantasy Critic, that bastards.
Lastly,
fucking hell.
We'll talk about Fantasy Critic in a sec. Lastly, we try to guess the OpenCritic average of Street Fighter 6. I guessed it would get an 88. And if you recall, I said I was going to go 90, and then I decided to go 88. Mooney guessed it would get an 87. At the time of recording, Street Fighter 6 has an OpenCritic average of 92, which gives Amy the point. The scores are now Amy 15, Mooney 10. Street Fighter, man. That's what I said. This is one of the most beloved fighting games ever. Fuck me.
The last one bloody didn't do so. Wasn't so loved.
I feel like they learned their lesson. The last one was like the last game that old Capcom released. I feel like, when they were doing like Resident Evil 6 and Umbrella Corps and stuff.
Yeah.
And like it came out and it was missing mods, I remember, was like the big thing. Just hang up on me. Interesting. I think Discord just crashed. I think I was like this when it crashed. I don't know.
I was stood up.
I don't know. Fuck that. But yeah, no, Street Fighter 5 had like missing mods. I'm pretty sure when it came out, and they only added them in later on. And Capcom have been one of the few publishers who have been kind of good at fixing the stupid shit that they did the last time.
Yeah. True.
And what was funny? When we were guessing OpenCritic scores, I didn't even think about Street Fighter 5. I didn't even think about the last one. I was just like, people love Street Fighter.
Yeah, it was going to be my next pick after Plucky Squire, but Farewell got it before I even picked Plucky Squire, the twat.
He's in the running on Fantasy Critic now.
Yeah, just for now. It'll be fine.
It's good. Everyone, apart from Elf, is pretty much going to be there or thereabouts in June, and we've all had roughly the same amount of games released. So,
yeah,
that is an interesting dogfight. But this isn't a Fantasy Critic check-in. This is OpenCritic Head-to-Head. We've got 2 OpenCritic Head-to-Heads to have.
That's a lot of head.
That's a lot of head. Mooney, we're going to do the Amnesia the Bunker. Could be the scariest game Amy's ever played. Maybe not. Who knows? Find out. Twitch.tv/wordsaboutgames. What do I think it's going to get? Well, I have to find my mouse cursor first. And it's here. So that's good. I'm going to guess Amnesia the Bunker. See, I've got to balance. These two games are games that I like, I'm interested in. And I've got to balance that against thinking, what are other people going to think? It's going to start with an 8. And it's going to end with a 1. We're going to go 81. What do you reckon, Rudy? Amnesia the Bunker.
78.
One great game in this franchise, one sequel that wasn't very well received, and then one which was pretty good. And now this one. And secondly, we're going to guess the OpenCritic average of Mask of the Roz. I got to rein it in. This is a game by one of my favorite developers, and I think their writing is sublime and exquisite. The premise for this game is incredible. But it's one of those indie games, innit? Critics don't like indie games that don't have any shooting and violence in them. That's a joke. I'm not saying that to you, I'm saying that to them. Mask of the Roz. Some of the Skies.
And I'm not joking.
Some of the Skies got an A5. It's a visual novel. I'm going to go, not hit the power button from my laptop, 85. I think the writing in this game is incredible for what I've played.
88. Never fails.
Damn, son. How dare you? How dare you?
Go higher than me.
You're not supposed to go higher on me on the game that I'm excited for, and it's in my fantasy critic team, and now I'm like, well, if it gets that, I'll be happy, I guess.
Well, I'll be also angry that Moody got it right.
Yeah. No, it's good. I don't mind. It goes Hollow Knight. I think it goes Hollow Knight and then Mask of the Roz in terms of games I'm excited for.
Sweet.
So
it's, well, if Hollow Knight gets properly announced, gets a release date, we know what's going straight to the top.
Well, that's the thing. Like, games I'm excited for. Number one is Hollow Knight. Number 2 is Mask of the Roz. If Hollow Knight gets Shadow dropped, which it won't, but like when we thought it would, could you? I would have my top 2 most anticipating games within a week of each other.
Yeah, and you wouldn't know what to do with yourself.
And I'm stuck at your house. Like, fuck. Son of a bitch. No, it's good. It's good. We're good. It's fun. We play games, hang out. We're going to have a lot of fun. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to go finish the podcast. I'm not going to annoy Moody this time. I'm not going to do what I did last week. We don't have time. We had plenty of time last week. Do whatever I wanted.
As always, everybody, the weekend is here. Be safe. Have an awesome time. Hug your parents. Tell them you love them. And just be awesome. See you next week, because it's going to be bonkers next 2 weeks.
Pew, 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 pew. I don't know why I did a pew pew. Don't know why I did it. Just did it. Bye, everybody.
Live long and prosper.
The one time it makes sense.
Yeah.